As you walk through the halls of the Capitol, I mean, you have a long walk from the Hart Building sometimes to the Capitol.
Yes.
I mean, this place is filled with artwork, with gorgeous artwork from different parts of the American experience, and there's quite a bit of it that speaks to the experience of African Americans in our history and culture. What are some of the more significant things that stand out to you as you sort of go through your daily your work?
Yeah, I think it's hard to miss Frederick Douglass and his investment and his dedication to this country. It's hard to miss a guy who stood on the Constitution and said, this Constitution means more for me than it does anybody else. That this Constitution suggests, the Founding Fathers got it right, that we are all given with inalienable rights. And that I'm not a half a man, not a 3/5 of a man. I am a man, and I should be treated with the same privileges and the same protections under this Constitution. Here's a man hundreds of years ago who fought for my freedom, fought for my independence, not by saying the Constitution was wrong, but by saying he got it right. That's a powerful picture from my perspective. I think of Rosa Parks, who, in very, very similar fashion as my grandmother, I think about my grandmother. When my parents got divorced, we moved into their house, and for a few years we shared a bedroom, my mother, my brother, and myself. And I tell you, my grandmother would have to walk to work. She'd walk a couple miles downtown Charleston, clean some houses, walk back, cook dinner, take care of her husband, take care of her children, take care of her grandchildren, and then repeat it all the next day. And there are many days where she had to walk because she could not afford the dime or so for the bus. But when she could afford the bus, I just think about the times when she had to sit there, tired, probably hopeless, praying and asking the good Lord for more strength, more favor, more energy, and more money. That reminds me of the Rosa Parks story. It reminds me of how much went into a day's trip, how much went into a day of work for so many women of color who not even for a wage really, just for so little did so much for someone else's kids and then had to come home and take care of her kids. And that story is just repeated millions of times throughout the communities of color and frankly throughout the entire nation.
Who are some of the members of Congress who have come before you? I mean, Hiram Revels was the very first African American to serve as a senator from during Reconstruction in Mississippi, and there were sort of fits and starts of African Americans in Congress until we get to the late '60s, early '70s. Who are some of the people who have come before you that have been the most influential in as you construct your own public life?
It's hard to miss John Lewis. And frankly, John Lewis, when I first got elected to Congress, was one of the most welcoming individuals in Congress. He was so kind, so courteous. It's hard to forget going to Selma for the 50th anniversary with Congressman John Lewis and walking on the Pettus Bridge where he, within an inch of his life, paid such a high price so that people would have the right to register to vote. Not to vote, just to register. So I think John Lewis, his consistent temperament. I know there's been some more current news around his positions, but frankly, with that included, he is still a true American hero without any question. So I think of John Lewis without any question. He's a big one for me. Senator Brooke, a Republican from Massachusetts, just a gentle soul, a prince of a person, prince of a guy who worked really hard to make sure that his constituents were represented, but he also understood that he had a greater responsibility to the nation than perhaps other senators might have. And he took that responsibility on and did such a good job with it. And I think those two guys stand out for me. J.C. Watts, of course, another Republican who also won a national championship. I wish I would have won a national championship, but he won a national championship and served really well for four terms. Also a minister, someone who loves the Lord, loves his country, and loved public service.